Hey everybody, it's the Reddick Sonic here, and today I have a special guest with me.
UltimateSage626 here, and I just want to say thank you for letting me join in this little particular video you got starting today.
So today we're going to talk about a few leaks and a few rumors that have been going around about Sonic, and then we're going to be talking about the future of Sonic, where we think Sonic should go, and maybe some ideas for Sega to kind of help guide Sonic in the right direction. So first up, I think that we should talk about Sonic Forces. It kind of mediocre, but not a bad, but not good type of Sonic game.
Definitely, it's definitely mediocre. I mean, even a hardcore Sonic fan myself, like in almost any Sonic game besides Sonic Shuffle, is I almost enjoyed every Sonic game, even the class. Well, not even the class. The Pitfall Advanced series, I still enjoyed them. Mania, it was like, oh, cool, something a little different. Well,
And
besides Infinite.
yeah, and I totally felt that way too, especially with the coming of Mania. Like, I was more so of the 3D fan type thing. I really didn't enjoy the 2D era as much, and especially when it's in my 3D games. But I can totally agree with Mania. That was like a masterpiece.
Mania as myself. Like Sonic 3 and Knuckles was my favorite one, but then when Mania came along, now Mania is my favorite 2D platformer. Second being Sonic Advance 2.
I could totally agree with being like my favorite 2D platformer. Like anything that Sonic has ever done in 2D, I would pick Mania every time. And then the next thing that I think that we should kind of I think that if you want, we can give our ratings for Forces. I
Ooh.
gave it a 7. What did I give it yesterday when we talked? I think I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 or 6.5.
I was a 5.5 or 6.
Anyway, step up your
Higher than
game,
6.
Sonic Team. The next thing we were going to talk about is the Buddy leak, which happened July 22nd or July 23rd of 2017. It was like a day or two after they announced Sonic Forces as Project Sonic 2017. And this guy, if I can find it, I'll show it on screen. Somebody leaked the avatar Buddy, and they were talking about he's gonna be a customizable character, and he's gonna go along Sonic, and everything else. Nobody really believed him. Then Sega, a few months later, showed us the Avatar trailer, and sure enough, they called him Buddy, and it kind of gave everything that that guy said was 100% true. There was not like, oh, he was 50% right. Like every word he said was true, and that leads us to our next topic of Sonic Heroes, the remake, not a remaster, but a remake. And what are your thoughts on that?
Basically, like you, if you haven't seen my video, I'll leave that in the link in the description below. But I'm like low key really excited. Yeah, it's just a rumor, but from just how they saying they're going to use the Hedgehog engine too, and then using updated models and the updated voice actors and everything. Me personally, I can actually see that this is going in a really positive direction. Yes, it might be fake, but think of the positives, like they could have better control, so the speed types aren't that slippery. The controls weren't that bad. It was just that they act like they had lube on their feet. But imagine better controls and just better graphics. Imagine the animation and cutscenes. Just there's so much opportunity. So a safe step, because if you think about it, Sonic Heroes is considered Dreamcast, even though it was released on the Nintendo GameCube and other platforms. Closer to the adventure style, but it's not with having the adventure title into it. So it's basically a safe point in order for Sonic Team to start off like, hey, we can start off this direction, do good, or let's see what we can do with the adventure style. But if not, we still have a lot more time to practice. And this was just, they won't like a lot of people, including myself, like Sonic Heroes. But then if they mess it up, then it won't be much of a big deal because probably B team or A team working on this together. I'm not sure, but the time and do this correctly, then I could actually see this being a positive thing.
See, and a lot of people were talking about like a Sonic Adventure 2 remake, and there was another rumor that was going around that was talking about that uh, Takashi Iizuka is trying to get the team to build Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 from the ground up. And I was just like, I don't think that they would risk that because they were doing it in quote to see if they could build another 3D style game like that. And while that rumor seems very, very, very unlikely because he barely wants to do Adventure 3, don't mess up what's already perfect. And I think that, SA1's like far from perfect, but SA2 is perfect, like physics wise. And
I'm about to
so,
say physics-wise, yeah,
so
because
like,
I feel as though Sonic Adventure 1 is a tad bit better deal with character selection besides Gamma, Amy, and Big. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles were just fine.
yeah. And I think that what Sega's trying to do here is if they are doing the Heroes remake, I feel like they're just trying to dip their toes in the adventure formula. Like you said, they don't want to screw it up because if they do, you screwed up the adventure name and stuff like that. And I don't think that they're ready to take that pressure either. So I think that they're just trying to dip their toes into the adventure formula. But
Just get a little taste of it.
do you have any fears for this remake?
Ooh, one thing I am kind of scared of, but also kind of they were saying about the custom hero. Like we were talking about this the other night. Me, what I was worried about is how are they going to implement the created hero from Sonic, Forces. Me personally, I did not care for the customization of Sonic Forces. I felt as though it could have been a lot better, but you had to do what you have to do. But if they use that, so add the custom hero into the game, would there be like two more other custom heroes you can use as the power and flight type, or is your custom hero going to join with each and every one of the stories? Like your custom hero joins with Sonic Team, Shadows Team, Chaotix, and Rose. And oh dear God, not the Rose. But just example, that's one thing I'm kind of scared of. Another thing is them making the physics going from to god awful.
Like a lot of people that have been thinking like if they mess with the physics it might not be slippery anymore, which could be a bonus, but I mean a lot of people who've been playing are used to the slipperiness and there are some advantages to it, but a lot of people think if they make it stiffer they're going to make it like a modern Sonic game that goes into like so like they'll keep it fully 3D naturally because they said that they're going to be keeping the level design. But a lot of people think that they're going to make Sonic control, like, for example, how we did in Forces or Generations, like, where, yes, there is a lot of 3D, but when it goes into 2D, Sonic has to be able to accommodate to that. So a lot of people think that they're going to make them really stiff, like, where you can barely, turn it. And that's what a lot of people think if, okay, because this is not the same team that worked on Heroes or Adventure. Like, that Sonic team's gone. This is
Brand
the
new.
new Sonic team. So I would say personally, as far as the customization would go, for the other half that you talked about, I think like as we both thought, well, maybe that there's like certain types, like only echidnas and some other powerful animal to be like for the power types. But as we were talking yesterday, I also think like they'll just be like you won't run into Wisp's capsules, but they'll have like a Wispin power up to do those things. So like the hover to fly,
Mhm.
and that might be the only person carrying a Wispin, which would make sense. But then I also think maybe burst would be to break the boxes like Knuckles punching. But I have no idea what the speed character would use. Maybe just a boost Wispin. I don't know. But I do feel like they would only be um in the cutscenes as far as like running into each other, kind of like Team Rose meets up with Team Sonic and they battle, and then at the very final cutscene in the Metal Sonic boss fight, and add an extra phase. I think that's the only time we're really gonna see the custom heroes in the story, if at all. It might be like a post game content. How do you think it's gonna go?
That one somehow I think they're not gonna add them into the main story like how you were saying. I think they're probably gonna make a completely separate story where, like you said, they're gonna battle each and every one of the teams, and then they probably battle their own former boss besides Metal, the Metal Overlord or Metal Madness. Like they probably fight off. I say he became Metal Overlord or Metal Madness, and they were defeated. And Sonic in the game, actually had to take that spot and turn super and fight against Metal Overlord.
See, I just thought about
Or to
this.
that Wisp Bomb.
So this is like a brand new thought. I like literally just thought about this. Like 2 seconds ago. Because I know how I talked about them receiving a letter, in the beginning of the game, like the other, like Sonic received a letter at the beginning of the game. But I was also thinking, and the thought just left me. Oh well, it can't be that important. So another thing that I wanted to give credibility to this was, Sonic likes to bring up a lot of stuff about the future that's going to happen, but they do it really discreetly. And in the intro to Stage 12 of Sonic Forces, one of the soldiers bring up, or was it Espio, or both of them, I don't know, but they were talking about their defenses line at Seaside Hill was down. Why bring up Seaside Hill out of all things? Like, there was not one aquatic looking level, unless if you count
I completely forgot about
unless if you count Aqua Road, which that's just a water slide. But I mean,
it.
I wouldn't count that because that was in the middle of a jungle. That's just kind of
Not a
like
single water stage.
that's just like
Also,
that's just like calling White Jungle from Sonic Adventure 2 Seaside Hill. You know what I mean? Like, you can't compare them. So I thought that was very interesting that out of all places, Seaside Hill, it's just, kind of out of place. So I kind of feel like that has something to do with it, but I think that we should probably be getting into our main agenda here, which would be the future of Sonic.
yeah. Uh, Future isn't looking too bright unless the movie does really well. And at South by Southwest 2018, that they announced something. It doesn't necessarily have to be Sonic Heroes per se. If it'd be awesome if it would, but it has to be something besides from the Sonic comic too. Something really relevant to make the fans just like want to stay there. Because I'm not gonna lie, a lot of us are leaving just because Sonic is not what it used to be back in the day. Yeah, because everyone's amateurs. Like, they're brand new. I'm not hating on them because they don't know what they're doing. Because it takes time to learn certain game styles and to get used to physics and whatnot. I can completely understand that. But just for example, hyping it up for so long, mediocre.
And
Well, like, how do you feel about that?
like you just said, the mediocrity and the new people coming in. Look, I love Sonic, and I don't like talking bad about him. Like that's just the truth. Like, if you catch me talking bad about Sonic, it's because it needs to be talked about, and I'm talking bad about him to protect him. And like you said, a lot of the new people coming in. The sad part is a lot of the people coming in, like let's say like the newcomers coming in to play Forces, they think that's normal for Sonic, and they may have enjoyed it more than us. But
What
the sad
us?
part is that they're coming in, like these new people, and they're playing something as mediocre as Forces, and they think, oh, this is what Sonic is. And some of them really enjoy it because they don't know what to really expect. Like, oh, that was fun. Like how we kind of had fun with Forces just for a little bit. And
I only played Forces once. Literally, after I beat the game, I haven't picked it up ever since.
so, and like I was telling you before, like I mostly enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more because of waiting for it for so long. But after trying to collect all the honors with every species, I got sick of it because I'm just like, I know what. That's when it sunk into me, like, this game is not okay, Sega. I mean, and that we got a big point coming up to that a little bit later, but while we're at it, let's talk about South by Southwest. Like how Sega they're really trying to amp this up. They're trying to talk about, like, we have some big announcements to talk about, and they try to make it sound like at least 3 plus. And like you and me were talking yesterday, you got the movie. You can't really count the comics as one of the big announcements because we already know about it. They're for sure going to talk about the comics, but that's
They're
not
for
one of
sure going to talk about it.
that's not one of your big announcements though. That's already announced. So you can't use it as your big announcement. So let's say you got a mobile game, and then let's say you got a mobile game, and you got the movie. What's your third thing that you're going to try to announce to us? Like, I can't
If you
think
think
of
about it,
anything.
didn't they already release like 2 mobile games, Sonic Runners Adventure and Sonic Forces.
Yeah, and I don't think we're getting a mobile game, but everybody else does. But I'm just trying to fill in some blanks. If there's at least 3+ announcements here that are big, announcements has to mean that you haven't talked about it yet. I'm just trying to fill in some blanks by saying, okay, the movie and a mobile game. What is the third announcement? And that leads me to believe it's either going to be a new game being announced for 2018, 2019, or in that range, or a B team game like Sonic and the Black Knight, or
Like
uh,
Chicken Rings and basically the storybook games,
yeah, or
something similar to that.
or the Heroes remake. So, and back on the 18B team
Yeah.
type speculation, when we were talking yesterday, if you remember how we were talking about the Forces development for the stages only had 3 people, and we, I'm not sure, but if that was the B team working on Forces, kind of like,
I know
oh,
what 18 is.
let's say Mania and Forces were fan dash B level projects just for a birthday anniversary, and there is a real big 18 game on the way, or at least being announced. Like, I mean, they could say, Forces 2017 was announced in 2016, so we might not see this game till the end of 2019. For Christmas holiday season. It might be like this big adventure that we just never knew of, or
Mhm.
just the Heroes remake, and we probably won't see something till later. So, as far as 18B team goes, what's your thoughts on what they have been doing, and if you think that which team was working on Forces?
How you remember how you just brought up the fact of only 3 people basically did the level designs. Well, I personally never even thought about it this way either. Since it was only such few people working on the levels,
Where were the
possibly
rest of
mean,
them?
yeah, like where's everyone? Like, there's no way that there's only 3 people working on Sonic Forces. So you gotta think about it this way. Sonic Forces could be just like the tip of the iceberg. That was just giving us the Sonic taste, and the real deal could be coming soon.
And then also that there was another thing going around that was saying, which I've already debunked as fake. Like, I don't care what anybody says, but everyone has to talk about it. So I'm like, okay, why not bring it up? But Forces 2, and I'm just like, this soon. Number one, and number two,
Yesterday.
um, they saying Classic Sonic will have his own Mania 2, so his storyline will be in his own game. Um, and then you got Adventure Sonic and the Avatar. So I don't know. I feel like it's and like a little bit of playable with his friends, like kind of like 06 did. And I already debunked it as fake. I don't care. But what are your thoughts on a Forces 2?
Nothing about Forces 2 until
Because
yesterday because Premier Remy brought it up. I'm like, wait. And then he also brought up about Sonic All-Star Racers 3. I'm like, I never heard of neither one of these rumors. And be honest with you, game, if it's not a better version of Sonic Riders, then I particularly don't care. I mean, I'm not saying All-Star Racers Transform is bad. It's actually a really good game. But I prefer Sonic Riders, the original one that came out for the GameCube.
when we were talking about Infinite, and how we were mad, like he just disappeared, and then when we heard of the Supersonic, we saw it was on the disc, and Sega said it wasn't, but besides the point. And we thought, oh well, maybe they want it to be DLC because they're gonna add an episode Supersonic that might explain more of whatever. And just thinking about this, what if I still want to say I'm debunking Forces 2, but let's theoretically say Forces 2 is real. What if it was made by the A team, while B team was the predecessor, just Forces 1, and we got more on Infinite in Forces 2, and this was made by the A team. That way we can get 3 Sonic games out within this span.
Also, I wouldn't even know how they would be able to do it because they literally just, well,
Yeah,
not just, but they brought up Infinite and then they just throw them away like that, like because technically, if you gotta remember, they also brought it up. I don't know why they did it like that, but they did kind of bring up Infinite's a little bit of his backstory and forces in general through the comic books. I don't know why they decided to do that, but they did. And so whatever you didn't know about a little bit about Infinite in the game, then the comic book, if you wasn't on Twitter or on Facebook,
How,
you wouldn't have seen
yeah,
that comic at all.
and like I was saying like before, it's just like I shouldn't have to go to a separate source of media to understand a video game that I purchased. You know. And as
Oh
far
no.
as that goes, what type of style do you think the future of Sonic games should for A team games? Because B team games sometimes don't have the boost formula in it at all or any form of acceleration. But as far as the A team is going, what type of formula or what type of direction do you think that they should try? Do you think that they should stay with gimmicky things, or do you think they should try to find one true heading, or stick with the boost formula, or try something that they've tried before and try to perfect that instead?
And this is where a bunch of arguments and people saying you're stupid, no, you shouldn't, whatever. But this is just my thoughts, whatever. All right. So you got to realize the boost formula for, I think if no, and the actual console from 360, PlayStation 3, Sonic Unleashed was the first thing that brought up the boost formula. And from then on, it was kind of janky, but they fixed it in Generations, and it was a lot better. Besides from just his mid-air jump, but the boost formula gameplay was almost just spot on. But then, a few games after that, for example, you couldn't even drift. You couldn't turn well with Sonic. Like,
And I
the
also
boost formula went from okay to great to bad.
and like you said about the drifting, that's one thing that really made me mad about Forces was because of all those times you just fly off the cliff because you can't drift. And also, I feel like with the air boosting and drifting would have made Forces a whole lot better to control.
Better. But me personally, people going to be saying, no, they need to stick to a particular one. Well, if you're thinking about it, they've been sticking with this particular style for the past few years, and it still hasn't been perfected yet. And this, you got to remember, this was a new team that still worked on Sonic Forces because it wasn't the same team that worked from Sonic Generations. This is a completely different team from that one.
And they lied to us about that too.
Yeah, like
From the team that bought you Sonic Colors and Sonic Generation, just because it's Sonic Team, you can't say that. Because I mean, there are so many people at Sonic Team that we don't even know about, and you know, you just can't say, oh, it's Sonic Team, so we can say this. Hey guys, Reddick Sonic here, and I just wanted to let you guys know that this is not the end of the podcast. That the other half is on UltimateSage626's channel. So definitely go check him out. He has awesome content, and he also has the other half of this video. Also, on my channel, I will be uploading a quick collab that we did at the end of this podcast. So definitely check that out on my channel after you check out part 2 of our top 6 Sonic characters. So go check them out. Go check out the other half of this video. And definitely subscribe. And if you liked what you saw here today, don't forget to comment, subscribe, like, and I'll see you all in the next video.